Hey, welcome to my non-objective opinion on peoplesradiounited.com. I'm here with Scott Fair, or Scotty79er, as a lot of people know him on Twitter. How are you doing, Scotty?
I'm doing all right. How about yourself?
I'm okay. So we're going to get into everything that went on with this whole ordeal with you in a second. But before we get started, really briefly, maybe for the people who don't know who you are, tell them like quickly who you are, what Waco Cop Block was, what you were doing, everything before Sandra Bland, what you had, because I know you were anonymous. I knew you back then 3 years ago. You were doing a lot of good stuff. So yeah, just briefly kind of sum up what you were about, what you were doing before the arrest and all that, and then we can get into that.
As far as Sandra Bland, correct?
Yes.
As far as Sandra Bland, I was given information in regards to her being in jail, and I had established contact with her family, and they're from Chicago, where I'm originally from as well. Her name is also the first name of my adoptive mother, so I felt some type of attachment. I also heard from her family what kind of person she was, and that she was an activist, and her dream was to expose police corruption and fight it, and discrimination by police. And she had found that while she was going to school in Waller County, that there was a lot of racism and a lot of police corruption. And she had actually posted videos that are out there where she talked about how her cell phone was the most powerful tool that she had. So I felt like I could relate to her and who she was and how she was, and her family needed answers. So I decided to virtually unmask myself from anonymity and being anonymous to putting a face on the problem and fight the police corruption and put myself out there, basically.
That was awesome. Yeah, I mean, that's really awesome that you did that. But then things started to go wrong and everything, it got bad. So yeah, so let's talk about what happened. You went down to confront the police that and try to get some answers. And that's where the misinformation starts. That's what I don't even really. I mean, from talking to you, I know more now than what I did 3 years ago. But there was a lot of videos represented as the not actually, the wrong thing, and people were saying you were here and there. So yeah, I just want to hear the story from what happened with the police chase, and all that stuff, once and for all, so we can know the actual story, not all the rumors and the rumor mill. Because what I know from talking to you in DMs, a lot of people might not know right now.
That is correct. The media is well known, especially local media channels are well known for being in bed with the police departments. They need the stories from the police departments in order to sell their stories and make money and to make ratings. So the more outrageous the story, the more money they make, basically, in effect. These local police stations, especially the ones in Waco, really don't have anything else to report to or report from, so they depend on the police departments to give them information, and they do no actual investigation on their own. Had they had done their own investigation on their own, then they wouldn't have reported what they reported, which is basically misinformation and lies by the police department, specifically mostly the sheriff's department in regards to my arrest. But if we could back to the Sandra Bland story, because I believe her story still needs to go out there to people, and
Okay,
I
yeah,
believe, still needs issues. So
yeah. Like ultimately, this whole thing, like we just said a while ago, is all about Sandra Bland. You got caught up in it trying to go get answers about her death. So what? Yeah, I mean, this is your show. This is People's Radio. You're the people. So whatever you want to do and wherever you want to go with it, as far as Sandra Bland and your story, feel free.
okay, when I first went down to Waller County and exposed myself to them, and of course they thought I was a nut. and thought I was some crazy person. And I went there, and all I pretty much did was say, when are you guys going to release unedited videos of the Sandra Bland situation? And I also informed them that if they did not release these videos in regards to her unlawful arrest, that I would be releasing information on them that would put them in a very uncomfortable situation. And I firmly believe that we are not to fear our government is to fear us. So I had let them know that, and of course they weren't going to help me out at all, so I had said, okay, I pretty much put them on a 48-hour countdown, and they were following all my posts. Give me a second, I'm just now logging in, so pardon me.
No worries, take your time. Yeah, I just put the link up for anybody.
Yeah, I'm trying to get to the chat room, but now it's got the talk. Give me a second, I'm going to turn down the volume.
Yeah, Scotty, turn off your camera because it's making you break up a little bit, if you can.
Okay, just a second. Let me, okay, the camera. Okay, give me a second here.
Yeah. So, yeah, there you go. Yeah, I was hearing a lot of breakup from you, distortion.
Yeah, I'm trying to get into the chat right now, but go ahead. I'm going to have the volume down low, so hopefully it doesn't interfere.
Okay. Well, you want to continue what you were saying?
Yeah. Now,
there's nothing going on in the chat right now. I could say there's nothing going on yet.
Okay.
It takes people a few minutes to come in.
Okay, I'm going to put it on pause then.
Okay.
Okay, so I went back to the house, did a 48-hour countdown, and I was given the information by another source, and basically it was a posting that I directed people to go to that gave out all the information for the sheriff's department, including the arresting officer named Brian Encinia. It gave out the addresses, IP addresses, cell phone numbers, who they're related to, VIN numbers, vehicle information. Yeah, it was a pretty detailed informational sheet that I directed people towards.
A big cop doc.
Yes.
Hey, turn down your speakers, please, Stuart, if you can.
Yeah, I can. How's that?
Yeah, much better.
Okay. So after I did that, I went back to Waller County, Hempstead, Texas, and I had went back the next time around, and as I am in the car and I arrived in the parking lot, there was a DPS car sitting there, and I am getting on. I had a PTSD service dog, and I had taken off the harness because it was a couple-hour road trip, and I was putting it on, and as I was doing so, this DPS officer comes out of his vehicle and decides that he wants to play with his gun in front of me type of deal. He was touching his gun, and he was making the shooting hand gesture toward me, and I immediately felt threatened, and I do have PTSD, and immediately my personality changed, and I had, once I had gotten the vest on and everything, I had tried to get out of my car, but he was standing right next to my driver's side door, yet I had done no wrong, and I don't know why he was even messing with me other than the fact they already knew I was on my way there because they had looked at my post and they seen, because I did a screenshot of the GPS saying how long it was going to be before I got there. So I believe he was there for retaliation, and once I got out of my car, that's basically when the video started, and I pretty much asked him in an unfriendly term, please get away from me. Why are you messing with me? Leave me alone. I feel threatened. Texas law states that if somebody's doing what he's doing, I have the right to defend myself, that I do not need to run away from the situation. So I notified him that I would be defending myself at all cost. Even if that meant, even though I did not have one, even if that meant that I would be grabbing my gun from my car. And this all happened while the sheriff's department was watching in their parking lot. Not one officer did or said anything to stop his behavior. So they were all, in my mind, complicit in and implicit in his behavior and allowing that unprofessional behavior and not de-escalating the situation. So in the video, you will hear me specifically state that he assaulted me because he did assault me. And in fact, if you listen carefully, he admits to assaulting me. Had I touched an officer, I would have gotten an aggravated assault against a civil servant charge, and that's a first-degree felony. But they did nothing. So finally, the situation's over with. Nothing happens to me because I didn't do anything illegal. And, you know, I had video, thank God for video. I had video showing that I had done no wrong. I'm underneath no illusion here that I need to be nice to somebody who is being corrupt and harassing and retaliating against me. I'm underneath no illusion that when an officer decides that he's going to oppress and commit tyranny and threaten my life, and that I have the right to fear for my life, that I need to be friendly about anything. Anybody that knows me will tell you I'm a very dedicated, very loyal-orientated person. But I'm not going to be that way if you threaten me with gun gestures and you're wearing a gun and you're harassing me and you're retaliating against me. All kindness goes out the window.
I feel you.
So, yeah, it does. You know, some people find the video very disturbing on my part, but once again, were you in my shoes?
Scotty, when I saw that... Oh, sorry, go ahead. No, I was going to say, when I saw that video, I knew immediately it was PTSD. Like I told you, I saw my eyes when I start flipping out. That's how my eyes do. And you have two options then. You can either fight or you can run. There's nothing else. And if you make the wrong decision with the police, you would have been dead. You know what I mean?
Yes.
PTSD is no joke. It's terrible.
Yes. It is a terrible thing. And if you don't know what it's like, then you don't know what it's like. You don't know what it's like to deal with. And, you know, even without PTSD, I mean, how would you react if you knew you were doing what I was doing and I was doing no wrong except trying to get the family answers and the videos that were unedited, that's what I was trying to get, and some officer knows that you're coming, probably, when I know the sheriff's department knew I was coming, and somebody starts playing with his gun in front of you and making shooting gestures? How would you feel? How would you react? I react differently than most. Some people might have gotten their car and taken off. I did not back down. In Texas, you have no duty to retreat. So I confronted the issue head on. I personally believe it's a very difficult and a brave thing to do for somebody to confront an illegal, unlawful action by an officer. But to each his own.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Go ahead.
I just said I fully agree with you, that's all.
So that day, they pretty much tried to butter me up, and they tried to play to my PTSD issues, and a particular higher up at the sheriff's department was talking about, I can put you in a program that my brother runs in Colorado. I'll put you up there for free. Please take that post down. So they had some kind of catered meal, so they were bringing my dog food, which I wouldn't let my dog eat anyway because I don't want her crapping in my car. And they were giving my dog water. Well, they didn't have to give my dog water because I have a collapsible bowl and I bring my own bottled water, but it was still, yes, a nice gesture. But in the meantime, you're not going to butter me up and try to convince me that what I'm doing is wrong, you know what I mean? So
yeah, Scott, we've talked about that on a lot of these shows. The police are always using tactics. Whatever they're doing is for a reason. People always say, oh, the police were so nice to me. Yeah, but there's a reason for that. You know, they do things tactically to try to gather information or try to stop whatever, you know. They definitely wanted to stop you. But just this is for the people listening, like, you know, don't trust a nice cop. That's all I'm saying right there.
That is true. They know the tactics to use. I mean, even detectives use the same tactics in investigations. This is not a new information that we're talking about. This is something they've been doing for a long time. They play on people by being nice, and then when they get what they want, they shit all over you.
Yep.
So, so after them trying to butter me up, there are pictures out there that I already have posted on the Medium.com website that you will be sharing later, I'm guessing. It's up to you.
Yeah, we're gonna like we usually do. We change the description and we add all the links and stuff in after the shows and stuff. So yeah, whatever you want on there, just send it to me and it'll be up on there so people can get with it.
Okay. Cool. I appreciate that. So after our little chit chat inside the building, they decided to give me the thumb drive, which I posted the picture of that you'll be posting later. Them actually handing me the thumb drive in front of the name on the building, Waller County Sheriff's Department, and you will see my dog in the background, basically. After I got that video, I released it to other people, and then during the meantime, while I was dealing with the Sandra Bland thing, I was getting information in regards to the massacre done by the police department in Waco, Texas. And I actually at that time had lived outside of Waco, Texas, about 20-30 minute drive away from it. And the information I was getting was very disturbing. I was getting background information from workers who were too scared to talk because they were afraid of retaliation, according to the messages that I was getting from these people, including screenshots of emails that were sent to media companies. I was learning that the misinformation that the local media was putting out was entirely not consistent with the information that I was given. Later on down the line, I was given information about total and entire amounts of corruption on behalf of the district attorney's office, Judge Strothers, the sheriff's department, and the local Waco police department. This was involving emails, text messages, videos, including the videos that at the time had a gag order on it because the police department didn't want people to watch the police just open fire on a bunch of innocent people and kill almost a dozen people.
Was this the cult member thing, or?
No, in Waco, Texas, Waco, Texas, there were a bunch of bikers that gathered together for a meeting. They do this several times a year, and from what I recall, they were getting together to talk about laws and legislation and safety. And the police department already knew they were coming and had already surrounded, previous to them showing up, the entire restaurant. And it was called Twin Peaks. And when they showed up on their bikes, and the police were already surrounding the whole building, and there was people obviously in the restaurant that had nothing to do with even owning a bicycle or a motorcycle, and they were just there eating with their loved ones. You know, just innocent people, and just because you're on a motorcycle it doesn't make you guilty as well. And there was basically a fight between two people, and it started to come outside, according to the video that I watched. And as it came outside, you will see the videos where the police just open fire and kill multitudes of people. The police will put out a video about a guy opening fire inside the restaurant. But I will say this: if you're inside the restaurant with your loved one or by yourself, and somebody starts opening up fire, is it not okay to open fire back? If you watch the videos, he's actually aiming back at the police department after they had already opened up fire. But the police and the media put out a whole new narrative. And that's what disgusts me, when I see the truth and I see the police departments lie and the media don't do anything about it. It just really is a very disturbing thing. Come to find out, ballistics prove that all the bullets did in fact come with the police weapons. And so I'll back up a little bit though. before I get too far ahead in this. When I had received this information, my people behind me were still wanting me to focus on Sandra Bland. However, I felt honestly, because of the race that I am, that somebody more towards the line of the race of Miss Sandra Bland needed to get involved and take over what I was doing. So I'm trying to push, without being rude when I say this, I was trying to push her story onto somebody else to take over because I wanted to transfer over to the Waco Twin Peaks police massacre. And my supporters are telling me to hold off, but I'm already digging in, heels on in. So I proceed forward, and I had went to the county courthouse and talked to a judge that I know. I've never had, unlike what the media says, I have never had one charge ever or even arrest ever in McLennan County, period. I've never even had a speeding ticket in that town. And that could be proven by a simple background as far as McLennan County goes. So I went to the courthouse and talked to a judge that I had a previous dealing with in regards to a friend of mine getting in a fake eviction notice over my service dog. And I let him know with his full consent and permission, and even my attorney had verified my story. He told me to talk to him, and I talked to him, and I let him know in very polite terms, according to what the judge told my attorney, that I would be releasing information exposing the police, the media, the DA, and the judge for corruption as far as the Twin Peaks biker massacre. Following that, just a little while later, well, actually, I'm back up here. Following that, after I got into my car, I was followed by police. I have 5 cameras in my car, aimed at 360 degrees, including one specifically at my driver's side window. I had made several loops, 3 or 4 loops around a county block just to verify so the police couldn't deny that I was in fact being followed. And they still followed. I'm still driving. There's no lights on. I'm driving. I pull up, and it's several miles away. I pull up to the county jail parking lot, and I get out of my car, and I start recording on my phone. And I'm standing there just a few feet away from my car, and police pull up, and at least one officer pulls out his gun. I then, still having issues with PTSD, immediately panic and do the fight, flight type of deal. I get back into my vehicle. I leave the parking lot. I'm at the stop sign right after that. I make a full, complete stop. However, the police reports say that I made an incomplete stop, but the police's own video show that I made a full, complete stop, according to my attorney. So that's where they got me for the evading arrest. Now, the media reports that the chase was 40 minutes. Now, I can promise you this. There's videos out there to prove it. By the time they had pulled up on me in that parking lot, and by the time the situation ended, 5 minutes or less, I didn't even speed, unlike what the media reports. I was on the phone with 911 asking, why are they following me? Why are they doing this to me? What did I do? Give me some answers. Please tell them to go away. And eventually, a minute or two later, a couple minutes later, I did in fact pull over. There's some funny things going on once again with the police narrative with the media. When I pull over, the media reports that I was boxed in by at least 10 cars. Now I'm going to tell you this, the road that they reported on me, if you do an aerial view, you will see that's a very small country road. There's no way that I would have gotten out of that road with the Trans Am lower 2.5 inches in any way unless I was on that road or unless they allowed me to leave. There was nothing stopping me from leaving. There was no cars that boxed me in. In fact, the closest car was an unmarked car by a man named Parnell McNamara, the big sheriff. And he was in a Ford F-150 with his wife. He was at least about a half a football field away. I mean, it was a long ways away. Nobody was boxed in from behind. Nobody had their guns drawn on me as far as I recall. He comes up to my car out of uniform with no insignia, no badge, no nothing. Comes to my window and we have a very friendly conversation. He never tells me to get out of my car. He never tells me I'm under arrest. He never even asks for my ID. So we talk. He steps about 4 or 5 yards away. And then another officer, a Sergeant Witt, comes with full uniform on. We talk. He never tells me to get out of my car. He never tells me I'm under arrest. He never asks for my ID. He then walks away. About a minute later, I don't remember where this guy came from. He seems to have come out of nowhere from my memory. He is out of uniform, no insignia, no badge showing, in civilian clothes, and comes up to my car and starts trying to chit-chat with me. And the next thing you know it, he reaches through my car window and grabs me by the throat. I panic. Yeah, I panic. And I hit the gas. I take off again. Now I'm on a dirt/gravel road, so I'm not really hitting the gas per se in the Trans Am. It just doesn't work that well. But I took off. Now, he reports that he got dragged and he hurt his hand. But I can tell you that I have evidence from the court paperwork itself that what injury? Your hand? Because my attorney is telling me when he viewed the videos, I've never seen any of the evidence as far as the videos go, that he says that if I did drag him, it would have been very hard to prove because he cannot see that in the video. But that's not what the media is reporting. The media reports that I dragged this guy with my car when I took off, and I hurt his hand. I don't understand how I could have hurt his hand when he's grabbing through my throat when I take off, because when I envision somebody reaching in through a window, grabbing somebody by the throat, and they take off, the normal thing would be probably to let go and then it's over with. But somehow I dragged this guy even when my attorney says the video doesn't show this.
Yeah, the media always goes with the police narrative pretty much, 100%. But yeah, I mean, if you're holding somebody's throat and they take off, that's on you. He hurt his own hand if his hand even got hurt.
Well, see, legally speaking, they should have told me I was being detained or to get out of my car. Nobody even bothered to try to open up my car door. So wouldn't you think the first thing to do is to ask somebody to get out of the car? Would be to tell somebody they're under arrest? Not try to befriend them and then try to choke them. But that's not what they did. That's not what they did at all. So after I took off, because I was not boxed in on this small country road, unlike the media reports where I supposedly tried to hit the ditch or something or some kind of embankment, that never happened. My car never got off the road, and this would be proven by police videos as well. It never even got close to getting off the road. I loved my car too much. I'm not taking the Trans Am off the road. That's just not going to happen. And that was my baby. And a officer behind his car throws out the spike strips. I get spike stripped. I go a few more yards. I then jump out of my vehicle. Now in Texas, where I was at, the fields where I were at, if you were to do an aerial view, you will see they're very barren. There's no trees. There's nothing to hide behind. It is dry, desolate, brown, dirty, just nothing to hide behind. But I was able to get away somehow with all these cop cars. I was able to get away somehow. And later on that night, when I walked back to my house, I was arrested. And there was never an accusation that I'd done anything wrong while I was arrested. They pulled their assault rifles on me, and I got down on the ground, and they handcuffed me, and I went to jail. When I went to jail, I spent at least 3 or 4 months right into solitary confinement.
You know what I'm thinking, Scotty? You had said you wanted to try to get a black person to take over the Sandra Bland case so you could move to the other thing. Imagine they would have killed somebody black. If they're willing to do
Well,
that to you, who's a white person, that's a threat to them. I mean, that's
well,
just, I don't know.
I agree with you saying. I have from the people that I've talked to behind the scenes, they had said that I kind of agree, but I kind of don't disagree. I'm aware of a thing called white privilege. I'm certainly aware of it. I do consider myself white, although I know I'm mixed with Apache. Uh, I understand that I get away with things more so than any African American would ever get away with, and I am sorry for that. But I I really felt that I had pushed the issue to somebody else in Austin. She's on my Twitter page. Her name is Fatima, and she's a very, very well-known activist. And she, at the time, was going to law school in Austin. She's known as a barefoot person. She walks around bare feet with a staff. And I was giving her information, and I was trying to push it to her because I felt that she would be a better spokesperson. I'm not the type of person who maybe should be in front of a crowd of people trying to tell black people their rights and what they should do and how to do things.
Oh, I see. I see. You mean with
You
the
know what
whole?
I mean?
You mean with the whole movement? I thought you meant just getting the answers from the police. I understand now.
Yeah,
You don't
yeah.
want to be. You don't want to be
I
the
felt like
face. You don't want to be the face of a Sandra Bland movement. Yeah,
I did.
that's
No,
understandable.
no, I did not want to be the face of her movement. Now, unlike some of the media reports out there where I was doing things for attention, that's just absolutely not the case. There's been a lot of opportunities where I could have made money off of the things that I did and made money off of videos and stuff because I am controversial as far as my reactions to corruption or tyranny or oppression. But I don't do this stuff for money. I live on a very small income at the time from the VA for being disabled. I could use the money, no doubt. However, that's not me. That's not where I come from. That's just not myself. So I felt like I had done everything that I could to help the family out and to spread the word and put them in touch with the right people, that it was time for me to give it to somebody else that can now promote her cause and give those fiery speeches in her barefoot with her staff.
Yeah, there was another woman who was down there filming. I think it might have been after you were locked up, but she was down there a lot, just getting into it. She was a black woman, and she had like a camera crew. I mean, with her, at least one person, because someone was filming her. So there was 2 or 3 people, I guess, that went down there. That was pretty awesome, and they were making some noise down there for a while. I don't know if it's the same woman you're talking about or not, but yeah, I remember. When you said that, it clicked. I started remembering those videos. They tried to shoot over the wall when the sheriff would come out. They'd talk so much shit. It was beautiful.
I vaguely remember that. I do vaguely remember that. And there was a black lady who also had obtained evidence of allegedly the device that was allegedly used in the death of Sandra Bland from the garbage.
Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah, see, all these memories are coming back about the Sandra Bland case now because there's so many people get killed by police. It's hard to
Yes.
keep track of one over another after another. After this, it's sickening, man.
Well,
It's,
the police help themselves out because they know how to protect themselves, and I cannot believe that there is not a statistic that they have to report into the federal government somewhere saying, well, today our police department killed 5 people, or we've killed 10 people this month, and I just cannot believe there's not some kind of website or some kind of Freedom of Information Act that people can ask for on these statistics. How are we supposed to hold our government officials accountable when we don't have any way to hold them accountable? And it's a very disturbing thing. It's a terrible thing. The people that we're supposed to trust the most are the most invisible to any type of efforts to hold them accountable. They kill people every day for supposed fear for your life, supposed grabbing for the waistbands, supposed. I heard one story where the guy had a banana in his pocket. I mean, look at the guy at Walmart who was buying a toy gun and he was shot and killed. Look at Tamir Rice. Look at the Dwayne guy. What about the guy that got shot in the face? And the officer lied on his police report and said the guy tried to run him over and took off when that never even happened on the video. Look at, what was it, North or South Carolina, where the officer shot the guy running away from him in the back and then watched him pull out the gun and plant evidence. And if it wasn't for the guy recording, and this is a key thing, recording that video, that family would have never have known about it because he was too scared to even release that video for fear of retaliation from police. And once he's seen the media telling a false narrative, he then decided to come forward and give that family the video and put himself in a position of safety issues. But this is a narrative that keeps happening over and over and over again. And the best thing that people can do is always record. Anytime you walk by, just record. It's not illegal. You're allowed to record anybody that gets paid a tax dime, federal or state. You are lawfully allowed to record them.
And you should record them because you're protecting the community. You're protecting the people they're harassing at the time.
Well, you're not only protecting the person who's being questioned or stopped by the police, whether it's lawfully or unlawfully, but the reality is you're also protecting the police officer. So in the theory of not every cop is bad, you might be protecting a good officer. You just don't know.
Okay, show's over, Scott. No. Yeah, you're not fucked up now. No.
I'm obviously not an advocate for police at any degree, but I'm trying to just be in reality here. That's the beauty of our government, supposedly, is it's supposed to be a very visible system, and if people are not recording, then these police get away with their actions.
Yeah, I look at it like the police have their own cameras. We got ours as the people, and I would never share anything with the police ever. That's just me. I mean,
well, I'm not saying to share information that helps the police department. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that would be up to you. Now, I don't know that I would ever help the police out, but you don't know the circumstances you might be in where, my God, this is an awful thing. I need to speak up because it's a truthful thing to do. So, it really depends on the person. Not everybody that follows or listens to this maybe thinks that every single officer is corrupt. I do believe that a far majority of them are, probably at least 0.75%, based on my experience and knowledge. Including those that turn their back when another officer does something wrong. So that makes it astronomically higher. And then you look at YouTube and you see millions upon millions of police officers acting like assholes, being very dictative, confrontative. I used to post how people should react, or how police should react and behave. And I've always thought, if the police officer comes up to you and says, "Hey, how are you doing? Can I help you?" That would be an excellent start to a good situation or an excellent way. That's how tax-paid employees should be that represent me. How can I help you? Is there anything I can do for you? Instead, they come up very confrontational, very standoffish, and at any given moment, they'll pull that gun.
Yeah. I mean, if the help was genuine and not just searching for answers as it seems to be now. I mean, for searching for things to arrest you or ticket you for.
Well, let me give you a little piece on the Supreme Court. I've done a lot of studying in my imprisonment in the law library every day that it was open. The Supreme Court has ruled that if you do not use your rights, you do not get your rights in certain situations. So if an officer, and you're not doing anything wrong, if an officer asks for your ID, and you do not say, "I'm not going to give you my ID," and you give it to them, then you have no right. You gave up your right to refuse your ID, because you do not have to give up your ID if you weren't doing anything wrong. But you cannot turn around and sue him for civil rights or whatever, because the Supreme Court's going to say, well, he asked you, and you allowed him to see it. But on the other hand, if you tell him, no, I don't have to give you my info, am I being detained? Am I free to go? What probable cause? What reasonable suspicion? And he has none, then you're free to go. But people don't know this, and the police depend on your ignorance. And the saying goes, ignorance is no excuse to not know the law.
Exactly.
And they use that to their advantage.
Yeah, we really try to hit that home and educate people on never talk to the police. But people don't listen, man. I don't listen to my own advice sometimes, Scotty. So that's just.
Yeah.
I get so mad when they're around. I just gotta scream at them and yell at them and curse them out. Where it's probably better just to be silent, you know. But so let's get back to what happened. So you got arrested. And what were you charged with? What did they charge you with?
Well, they do a thing that's actually illegal. The Constitution says you have the right to maintain or obtain bail. What they did was they did what's called overcharging. And overcharging means that we're going to pile on so many charges, even if they're not real, so that you can't afford to bail out. So originally, I had approximately 4 assaults. I had 1 aggravated assault on a civil servant. I had an evading in a vehicle, evading on foot, and abuse of 911 system. However, when the indictment actually got handed down, it stated an aggravated assault on a civil servant and the evading in a vehicle charge, and that's it. So it goes back to the whole concept of overcharging. They knew I was about to release information in the massacre by police, and they knew that those charges would keep me from being able to bail out, so they piled them on and said, good luck getting out. So what had happened? Go ahead.
I was saying that's terrible. They're bastards. That's all I was saying. I was just like, wow. Go ahead.
So when I finally, while I was in solitary confinement a long time later, I read the indictment, and it didn't kick off to me at first that something was wrong with the indictment until later when I became more knowledgeable. But the indictment doesn't even state, unlike what the media reports about me making threats and this and that, I'm not saying that I didn't say something to the effect of I would stand my ground and use lethal force because they had used lethal force against me when I had done nothing wrong. But what I'm saying is the indictment only started off at the evading portion. It didn't say that I failed to make a stop sign stop. It didn't say I didn't use my signal light and that's why they were pulling me over, or that I was speeding. It didn't say anything about that. It starts off right at the evading arrest. Now it states that evading arrest when I knew that I was going to be arrested type of deal. Well, I mean, what was the reason you guys are alleging, not what you're telling the media, but what is the reason, factual reason why you guys were going to chase me in the first place? Now, my attorney did not share with me any evidence. He did not let me look at any police reports. He did not let me look at any videos. But he did say some things that I learned about later that were very, very suspicious. One thing he read out of the one sentence, or he read 2 sentences. One thing he read to me struck me as odd. This stop sign right after I left when they had pulled their guns on me. It states that I ran the stop sign. But like I said earlier, the attorney says that I made a full, complete stop. I believe that they justified everything they did based on that stop sign. If that's the case, and had my attorney done his job, he should have done some kind of a motion for suppression of evidence, or suppression. He should have done a dismissal charge right off the bat, because everything that happened at that stop sign, legally speaking, is null and void once it comes to the fact that the accusations after that mean nothing, because had you not done something illegally as far as stopping me in the first place when I had broken no walls, none of that other stuff with the evading or the alleged aggravated assaults or the assaults would have ever even mattered on record. It should have all been dismissed immediately Also, you would call things like maybe an aggravated perjury, maybe a perjury charge on the police department for falsification or a false statement. But my attorney said it didn't matter.
What
And
was
see,
there?
the problem with these small town attorneys that you get for free when you're indigent,
So it was a PD? I mean, was it the PD they gave you at the court, or was it a different attorney?
it was one of the free ones. Yeah, it was one. It's a private attorney that the county hires out to defend you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I understand in these counties that these attorneys, unless you're paying them, they're not going to a lot of times help you out a lot. And this is not an unknown or a misconstrued fact. This is a very commonly known thing. This is nothing new.
Yeah, we talked about that on here before. PDs always, or public defenders, they always want to get you to plead to something.
Yes,
Plead to something. Plead to something.
they've got paid for clients that they need to win for. They're not going to rock the boat, as the court systems call it, to help you out typically. Now, with that statement, it also had alleged that my car was in the wrong lane of traffic. Well, that never happened. That never happened at all whatsoever. I didn't even speed. I was trying to be very careful because I didn't want any more accusations against me. That never happened. It also shows the same on the police video. But did my attorney do anything about it? Absolutely not. So, I'm in the county jail for almost 2 years, and I'm being told that they will not hear my case until the Twin Peaks police massacre. During the time that I was in the county, the judge that I had information that was being corrupt, Judge Strothers in Waco, had been recused or basically fired off the Twin Peaks biker situation because he was in the wrong. He was siding and fighting against innocent people. People that had nothing to do with bikers. People that were there eating with their family. He was going against them and purposely working with the DA's office. And that's called corruption. He was fired by another judge. That does not happen very often. When's the last time you heard another judge get fired or removed from a case?
Yeah, it's super rare.
Yes, it's very rare. So after being there for 2 years and realizing, because I have all the copies of the letters that I wrote to my attorney, and there are multitudes of letters, probably over 100 and some pages, and seeing that my attorney was not willing to be an effective assistance of counsel, which is my legal constitutional right, I decided, due to what the DA's office told me, to sign for a bad deal. And my thinking behind that was that I already had so much time in the county jail that I was already eligible for parole, and if my memory serves me correct, I only had to do 1 year, 2 weeks, and so many days, or something to the effect. I don't remember exactly, and you would be eligible. And I was already eligible. It was my first time felony type of deal. So I went ahead and signed because the Waco Twin Peaks bikers still haven't even gone. And this was, my incident happened August the 4th or the 5th. My arrest was on the 5th of 2015. I wasn't trying to stay in there anymore. I gained an immense amount of weight. My hair started falling out like crazy. I went from being a fairly good-looking guy to a fat guy. I was dying to get out of there. And so I went ahead and signed, and sure enough, within 2 weeks of being in Texas Department of Criminal Justice, I had made parole. They just wanted me to go to a substance abuse treatment program that I went to for 6 months and graduated. And once I graduated, a few weeks later, I made parole, and that was July the 17th of 2018. Now, in regards to the case, in my case, though, I had 5 cameras in my car. 5 of them. Somehow, and I have paperwork, they lost these cameras. Now, based on my studies in the law library in regards to impoundment of vehicles and inventories, it specifically states that if the police do not do a proper inventory or a no inventory at all, that it's automatic grounds for dismissal for a Fourth Amendment violation. They did not do a proper inventory in my car. In fact, just the other day, I got return receipt mail from the private investigator who went out to my car almost a year later that was still at the impound lot, and they didn't even submit an evidence, or they didn't even do an inventory on my wallet, my ID, a U.S. Department of Treasury check, my VA ID, and other items in my car. They didn't even put it in inventory. My cameras went missing for several months. I have a file from the attorney that he sent me right before I got out of prison that shows on the discovery form 2 cameras. Sorry, it's the congressman's office. 2 cameras. When they finally decided to act on these cameras that were missing. This was after I already had to have a separate motion filed to have permission from my attorney and private investigator, the DA, and the DA's criminal investigator to go out to the impound yard and retrieve my cameras. Now, if I need to do such a motion in court and basically violate my constitutional rights by sharing evidence that's favorable to me, that means that they did not have these cameras somewhere. They disappeared. But these cameras 2 of them did eventually reappear afterwards. However, on the discovery document, it states there's 5 items. 2 cameras, a cell phone, an SD card, and my DVD GPS nav system with a CD. On this discovery form, it's extremely interesting. The first 2 are about 2 cameras, the make, model, serial number, along with the make, model, serial number on the SD card type of deal. I don't remember if the SD cards had a serial number or not, but basically it was just a description of make, model, product type of deal and how many gigs the memory cards were.
Were the memory cards erased, or did you still get, or did they have?
Well, that's what I'm getting to here.
Oh, okay.
So the 3rd item is my cell phone, and the 4th item is the SD card from the cell phone, along with make, model type of deal. However, and this is a discovery document that says analyzation, as in it's been analyzed. On the 5th bottom is very interesting, because you heard what I said, what 1, 2, and 3, 4 state. On the 5th one, it actually says, we analyzed the music CD and found no evidence of value. Now, why would you state that on the 5th item, but you said nothing on the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th item? The key point is, they may say they analyzed it, and they did analyze a serial number and a product name, blah, 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 but they do not make any statements as regards to actually analyzing my phone, my phone's memory card, and my 2 dash camera memory cards. They left that out. And on the same document, it says 0 on any pages for submission on that document. In other words, there's no other evidence they need to talk about in regards to the evidence that they supposedly had analyzed. Why wouldn't they have stated, we analyzed the memory cards, we analyzed the phone? I believe it's because whoever supposedly did this alleged analyzation didn't want to commit perjury in case I find out differently. Because I know something they don't know. Well, they may not know, but I know something that can be proven. The cell phone I had was encrypted. So was the memory card. You can't look at either one of the cell phone or the memory card without having a passcode. I know they didn't have the passcode. So there was no way they could have ever analyzed anything inside that phone or that memory card. So they don't say they did. They just say they analyze make a model type of deal. You know what I mean? Very, very funny, because these cameras would show my side of the story and show that the guns were pulled on me. The officers that pulled up, didn't have body cameras on. So what they're doing basically is they're lying.
That's what police do.
Yes, yes, and it's just one lie after the next, and it's a very, very terrible thing. Um, I spent 11 months in actual TDCJ prison, Texas Department of Criminal Justice. I've seen a lot of things that I've never seen before. I've seen staff knowing at that unit you're about to discharge or get out and be free, lie and say they did things that never even happened. I kept very detailed documentation of it. Every morning I'd get up at like 3 o'clock in the morning and write it down. We lived in a dormitory style unit at that unit in Beaumont, Texas, Larry Gist unit. And some of the corruption, especially by a lady that works at the law library, is just beyond amazing. I ended up getting paroled, and this is where I'm here now.
Wow. It sucks you had to go through all that. It sucks anyone has to go through that, especially just for trying to get answers and keep the police accountable. It's ridiculous. So what's next for you, Scotty? Are you gonna keep doing what you do, or are you gonna slow down a while? Like, what are you thinking of? Like, your future's looking like?
Well, right now I'm dealing with a whole new world of problems since I'm out. While I was locked up, the VA was supposed to stop my VA payments, despite the fact that I wrote them several letters to please stop my VA payments so that I would not have to pay them back. They did not stop it. So during the meantime, at my first unit, John Middleton unit in Abilene, Texas, I had 2 staff members of 20-year plus at the law library allowed me to use an unheard of thing called the phone in prison. Uncollect phone call to my bank. And I kept contacting that bank. Stop letting this person have access to my account. Stop sending her my cards. She doesn't have permission to do this. Stop, stop, stop. And they refused to stop. They refused to put on a fraud alert. When I got out of prison, long story short, basically now I owe the Veterans Affairs many thousands of dollars. I cannot work, and now I'm fighting on fixing that problem. So basically the problems that I have now are dealing with homelessness, being able to eat, not having any clothes. So I'm trying to focus on my issues first, my most immediate issues first. I will have a bed open here in the next few weeks to go to, but during the meantime, I'm just trying to survive. I can't really put a lot of effort into helping other people when I'm barely able to swim myself.
Yeah, I feel you. And on your page, we're gonna link. There's ways people could help you to send you like food and different things that you need, right?
Correct. It was set up to be as convenient as possible. A click, copy, and paste just wouldn't work, so we tried to do it so that you can hit the link. All you need is my email. I also have information on my encrypted mail through Proton. Basically, with the media and the social media and the internet and Amazon and all that, all you need is my email address. You don't even need to know my home address, and I don't need to know your information. All you got to do is put in my email address and send me whatever you want to send me. It could be food. I need Lyft or Uber rides now that I don't have a ride or transportation or money to pay for it, in order to go to all the parole appointments that are being imposed on me for the next couple months. It's a temporary couple month thing on these appointments, but once a week I got to go in for a urine test. Twice a week I got to go to AANA meetings. One time a week I got to go to a peer support group called Winners Circle, and they're on Facebook as well here locally at the El Paso Window Circle. I believe it's El Chuco Winner or something like that. I got to go to these meetings for the first couple months, and if I don't make these meetings, I could not only get violated, but I also got put on probation. I was given 10 years evading a maximum sentence first time down, first time felon, and given a 10-year sentence for an aggravated assault on a civil servant that if I violate, they can give me 99 years. It's a first-degree felony. So if I don't make my appointments, I could go back to prison for almost 100 years.
Yeah, I don't think they give you the 100, but it'll still be a lot of time.
It's possible, and you have to understand something. Waco doesn't like me, so I'm not going to put it past them. It's not normal to even get a max sentence on your first time around. I've seen people in prison who have been there multiple times, and there were kidnapping on the third or fourth time, and they got 2 or 3 years. I've seen people tell me, I've had evading 3 times, and I've only had 3 years this time around. Well, what the hell is going on here?
Because you were a threat to the police, not
exactly. Yeah. So if I violate probation by not going to meetings and not doing what I'm supposed to be doing, it could be 99 years. I couldn't even fight that in an appeal because I signed an agreement.
Are there buses that run regularly where you are too? Because I'm seeing Judith and Stuart are saying transportation.
There are some buses that run around here, but with the mental health things that I go through, the VA years ago after I got out of the military in 2001 diagnosed me with PTSD, depression, social anxiety, panic disorder, agoraphobia, nightmares, bed sweats. So for me to get on a bus, to be honest with you, would be a very bad situation for myself. So, I'm trying to avoid that at all costs. So.
Yeah, I fully understand that feeling.
But during the meantime, you still have to have the money to even ride the bus in the first place, and I don't have that.
Well, no, I was saying if there were, so bus passes probably aren't the best thing for people to send you. So, Uber, Lyft, anything like that would be cool. And like I said, we're going to post all your information as soon as the show's over. Make sure people could help you if they can.
And I appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh, we appreciate you a lot, Scotty, and all you've done and been through. Is really terrible. So we're about at the hour point. Is there anything else you want to say, or you think we missed that before the show's over?
I don't know. Did we cover the fact that I have a post coming out explaining every news article of misinformation on me in every video so that people have an entire breakdown of the entire situation, so that people have a bigger picture of the situation?
We kind of glossed over at the beginning, but you didn't tell any detail. That's on the same post that we're going to link along with your... But go ahead real quick. Tell about that part of it too.
Quick, it'll be on the Medium page that you'll be posting. It'll be a separate post from that. I've already gotten something pre-written out, but I need to go in there and edit it and make sure there's no misspelling. It'll be linked up with the article, so all you got to do is click the video or read the article, then click the video, so everything's well coordinated, and that way you get a whole picture of the video, hopefully before you watch it, so you understand where I'm coming from and what was going on before.
Yeah, awesome. And like I said, anyone who's going to listen to this in the future or now, try to help Scotty if you can, even if it's just support. If you can do it monetarily, that's good. If not, show him some moral support, stand behind him and what he's going through.
Or one thing somebody could do is they know somebody in Texas that can help me fill out an appeal. It's called an 1107 habeas corpus. If they can get somebody to at least offer some suggestions or help go over it with me so I can fill it out, I can also get some help filling out that 1107.
Yeah, there you go. So, any way you guys can help Scotty, I would encourage you to do so. And thanks for coming on today, Scotty, and telling your story. It's really shitty what they put you through, to put it lightly,
Well, I appreciate all the people that were out there before that knew me. Some of them are in the chat right now, and some of them have been supporting me way before I got locked up. I appreciate you. I knew you before online, before this thing went down, and I've seen the posts. And I've seen people try to do support for me, and I do appreciate everything everybody's tried to do for me. I do.
All right. Well, thanks, Scotty, and thank you everybody who's listening. And tomorrow we have our weekly show. I'm thinking we're gonna have a weekly show. We're still working it all out, so bear with us and just follow People's Radio. Follow at Scotty79er. All this will be posted in the description, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye.